Cool. I haven't been probably there in 30 years, so it was good. I come back to Pittsburgh all the time and have even before coming back to Penn State for family reasons or social reasons or whatever it may be. But to actually go to some of those places that I haven't been in a long time was really cool.
James, you were asked about a little bit earlier today in Altoona about Penn State down the road. Do you expect that you'll hear anything from fans tonight about that particular game? Or, I mean, because it seems like it would kind of be a hot topic.
Yeah, I think, obviously, I think people are excited about it, especially in this region, 16, 17, 18, 19. That's a game that was set in stone, before I obviously arrived. There's a lot of history and tradition with it. Generally, I'm in support of, keeping the dollars in state and supporting, high school football in state and programs in state and all those types of things. So, in a lot of ways, there's some really good arguments you could make why it makes sense.
James, how interested are you in extending that beyond 19, making it a permanent fixture on the schedule?
I think it's open for discussion. I think in the past and historically, there's been reasons why the game hasn't been played. I think Pitt could probably make some arguments from their perspective. I think Penn State could make some arguments from their perspective. So I think that's kind of what has happened and why the game went back. But I think you can make arguments why the game is obviously back in 16, 17, 18, 19.
When you look at scheduling in general, I know you're thinking about Temple. I've learned since the first time, but you're thinking about Temple.
Overall scheduling.
Overall philosophy-wise, how do you find that balance between we feel like we can beat this team, wins are important right now and where we are, and we're trying to figure out a way to get teams in here that maybe fans can be excited about because there's got to be a middle ground between Appalachian State and Alabama. How do you kind of figure out where that line is, what's best both for you and for the fans?
Well, I guess to me the most important thing to the fans and to the alumni and to everybody is to give us an opportunity to win the Big Ten championship and make it to the playoffs. I think that's the most important thing. I think there is data, there is study, there is research that has shown pretty consistently the best way to do that. I think the team that won the national championship this year is a really good example. And based on only being able to have 1 year of data to show what the best formula is, that's it. That's it. You can also look at BCS before that and things like that. You can look at the teams that have consistently won because that's what we're trying to do. People say, well, how do you teach your team to win? By winning as much as you possibly can. So, I've seen evidence that shows those things will take care of themselves. I believe that. I think everybody needs to understand, I think including our fans, that there's a difference between a 7-game conference schedule, which it used to be, and then goes to an 8-game conference schedule, which it used to be, and now a 9-game conference schedule, and the Big Ten saying you're not allowed to play 1AA institutions. The Big Ten is taking care of strength of schedule for us. So, if you're comparing the Big Ten to the SEC, and the SEC plays 8 conference games, and then the SEC goes out and schedules an out-of-conference, what people would consider sexy game, that's not a whole lot different than playing 9 conference games in the Big Ten. You look around the country, that's the model. I've done a lot of studies. I've talked to a lot of different people. I've talked to people on the playoff committee. I feel pretty strongly about that. I think what our fans want more than anything is they want to show up to 7 family reunions a year at Beaver Stadium, which is another challenge. When you play a 9-game conference schedule every odd year, you're going to have a hard time. If you do home and homes, you're going to have a hard time getting home games. I also know the State College community, the businesses, won as many home games as we possibly can get. So there's a lot of factors that go into it, and I do think creating excitement on your scheduling is something that has to factor in. But to me, it's one slice of the pie. It's one slice of the pie, and I think the most important thing everybody would agree to, the most important thing is that our fans and our administration and our coaches and our players want us to be able to compete for Big Ten championships and national championships.
James, I know you've got a singular focus, but when you look at the success the hockey program's had as it started out, and the success the wrestling program and volleyball, things that are part of the other Penn State athletics, how has your view of the department changed since you've had a chance to see it compared to what you knew coming in?
Well, I think probably wrestling probably opened my mind as much as anything. I think when I arrived, I think it was the 4th straight national championship. Is that right? Was it 4? 4 straight national championships when I arrived. And you show up on I don't know what nights of the weekday do they typically wrestle? Tuesday, Thursday, Saturdays? Is that how it goes? You'd show up on a Thursday to be 16,000 people packed, going crazy in the venue or whatever it is. It was impressive. So the type of support that all of our different sports get, you show up to a hockey game, and what does that hold?
A little over 6.
A little over 6. It seems like a lot. And they're packed in there, and they're going crazy and enjoying themselves. So I just know people really struggle with that across the country, especially midweek games. In our place, people get great support. Not only do they get great support, they're having a bunch of success. I think those things go hand in hand. I truly do. So it's been fun.
I think a lot of people in the sports community in general look at the halo of the football program being a signature part of Penn State athletics, but I wondered, when you looked at the other programs that have been able to have success at Penn State, how much did that give you confidence that doing something like this could work there?
A lot. I mean, Penn State, just the institution, the machine that it is a big reason why we all came. They do so many things so well, and athletically, their support for the student athletes is phenomenal, whether it's facilities or academically. I mean, it's just, they do a phenomenal job, and that's a big reason why the staff is here. It's a big reason why the players are here, and you look at that, and you certainly get excited about what the future could bring.
Do you consider Western Pennsylvania and any prospects it may develop your territory, or is there
Well, absolutely.
competition?
Not only Western Pennsylvania, but all over Pennsylvania. And I think one of Terry's visions was for his arena was to be a catalyst to improve hockey at the grassroots level, and eventually that's going to trickle down to us. And I think we're all looking forward to that happening. I think that's happening very quickly as well.
How do you see something like the game or the event at Consol every year helping that?
I think it's great for us to get out. Obviously, it's a very tough ticket to get at Pagula Ice Arena. I hear it everywhere I go that people and alumni want to come back and see us and can't get a ticket. So number one for us to sort of take our team on the road, especially to great places like Pittsburgh, where there's so many of our great alumni here. And obviously, we have one of our goaltenders is from the Rocks, just down the road, and Matt Mendelson, incoming freshman, is right from Pittsburgh. We get very important players from here, so I think it's a big deal for us.